Hey everyone, I'm Megyn Kelly. Welcome to the Megyn Kelly Show. Today on the program, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is the first time we have ever met. Since coming onto the national scene in 2019, she has been a lightning rod for the Republican Party and a loyalist to President Donald Trump. However, she's making headlines now over cracks in her support for some of his current stances. Ukraine, Israel, the Epstein files, just to name a few. Congresswoman Greene has been involved in some epic fights on Capitol Hill, but whether you like her or not, she does not back down on Fauci, the villain, the trans issue, and so much more. This is going to be a wide-ranging discussion on the current state and future of the MAGA movement and more. Joining me now, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. Don't miss a moment. Subscribe to this show on YouTube and follow me on Insta, Facebook, and X. I've been talking a lot lately about Riverbend Ranch, and that's because I love their steaks. Riverbend Ranch has taken Black Angus beef to a whole new level. For the last 35 years, Riverbend Ranch has been creating a very elite Angus herd by using ultrasound to select genetically superior cattle with a focus on flavor and tenderness. When you buy from Riverbend Ranch, you are not only supporting the 64 cowboys and cowgirls and their families who work on the ranch, but you're also supporting over 260 other U.S. ranches and the hundreds of American families who work on those ranches. It is born in the USA, raised in the USA, and processed in the USA. It is aged to perfection for 21 days and shipped directly from the ranch to your home. This is not your average Black Angus beef. So order from riverbendranch.com and use the promo code Megyn for $20 off your first order. And let me know what you think. riverbendranch.com, promo code Megyn.
Thank you, Megyn. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming all this way. Let's just start with news of the day because we're taping this on Monday. This is going to air on Tuesday. And in the Oval Office, President Trump, who's meeting with Zelensky, was just asked about what kind of commitments are we ready to make with respect to our troops in keeping any possible peace in Ukraine, because his emissary, Steve Witkoff, his envoy, had said the security deals are basically being negotiated, which sounds like us. And here's what he said.
Your team has talked about security guarantees. Could that involve U.S. troops? Would you roll that out in the future?
We'll let you know that maybe later today. We're meeting with 7 great leaders of great countries also, and we'll be talking about that. They'll all be involved.
Okay. Your thoughts on what, if any, presence we should be having over in Ukraine?
Right now, taping on Monday, so we're just taking what the president just spoke of in the Oval Office. I think he's talking about potential Article 5 security.
That's what Witkoff mentioned.
Agreements.
The NATO agreement, which they're not a party of NATO.
Right, which I'm against. Look, I campaigned all over the country for President Trump, not just in 2024, but literally for years. And I can tell you right now, the American people are very much against foreign wars, funding foreign wars, sending American troops into foreign countries to protect their borders, their interests, their people. They are appalled that we've spent $200 billion or more in Ukraine thus far since 2022. And I don't think the American people will be happy about sending American troops with an Article 5 security agreement and promise to Ukraine. I don't think that's what the American people want. I think they want completely out of it, because most Americans are looking at their daily lives. They're looking at their bills, their rent payments. Young people today can't buy a house. They're looking at health insurance, which is a complete scam and a ripoff. And they're going, okay, how much more is this going to cost me? So that's my first reaction.
Well, let's talk about what a guarantee would look like. I mean, if we're guaranteeing, the security of Ukraine, so that if there's another Putin invasion down the line, we're required to fight it like it's our war?
Yes, essentially. So Article 5 with NATO means that any NATO country that is attacked, that means the other countries are bound in that agreement to respond with defense. And I think it can vary depending on how the country reacts and what the defense aid they give to these other countries. But it seems It doesn't make sense to say Ukraine can never join NATO, but yet here we are, the United States, most powerful country in the world. We are going to give you Article 5, a guarantee security agreement.
Like a side deal.
And why do they deserve it, is my question. Why does Ukraine...
Whether they do or they don't, I don't want to give it.
Exactly.
That's my position. I don't care.
Either.
It's my child. No.
Megyn, I fully agree with you, and I think most Americans agree with you. I was one of the only members of Congress that voted no from the beginning to fund the Ukraine war, and I took a very strong position, and literally I was on my own out of,
How'd you see that?
I just saw it so my dad was a combat war veteran in Vietnam, and just growing up with a father that had been drafted and parents that had lived through the Vietnam War, that whole generation, which we love them so much, and knowing so many, of family members and friends that served in everything from Desert Storm to Iraq and Afghanistan and all these Middle Eastern wars. And as a member of Congress, constantly hearing from veterans that have so many broken issues, whether it's physical or mental with PTSD, and can't get their needs met at the VA, and then knowing that their suicide numbers are still 22 a day. I mean, it's just common sense. It's like, we can't do this anymore. And we're broke. America's broke. We're $37 trillion in debt. And at some point, we have to start saying no to the rest of the world and just completely say, no, we can't. We've got to focus here, or we're going to implode one day.
Mm-hmm. The Republican Party has turned on that war and supporting it, but they weren't against it in the beginning. Mm-hmm. The numbers have fallen. So it's to your credit that you saw that trouble coming right from the get-go. And it's not that, I have sympathy, of course, for the Ukrainian people. I mean, what's happened is terrible. They've had terrible leaders.
Yeah.
And Vladimir Putin is not a good man. Nobody's going to dispute that. But not everything can be our problem. And the problem is we had Democrats who were messing with Ukraine and kind of trying to make it our problem for a number of years, which I think led us to feeling some obligation, understandably. Mm-hmm. But at this point, you've got these two stubborn leaders. Mm-hmm. I don't know what's going to happen today. I don't have high hopes that Trump's going to get something done today.
Yeah.
It's going to have to stop at some point because both sides are losing, how many thousands by the week. So how do you see this ending?
I'm not sure. I do want to say I put a lot of faith and hope in the president because we all win if he's successful in ending it. However, what does America have to continue to commit to these countries in order to end their wars that we had nothing to do with? Even the Ukraine-Russia war really started in 2014 under Barack Obama. Mm-hmm. Everybody thinks it started in 2022. It didn't. It started way back then. And then we can look at the war with Israel and Gaza, or Israel and Iran, or whoever in the Middle East. We haven't started those wars either. And then we can say, well, what wars do we pick to get involved in? What about the ones in Africa where Christians are slaughtered all the time? It's like you said, at what point do we say, guys, enough?
Not our problem. Mm-hmm. It's like 9/11. Yeah, that was our problem.
1,000%.
That was easy to see. But all of a sudden, we could be extended all over the world at any given time with millions of American troops if we really wanted to be.
Yep.
So we have to make serious decisions. And we'll round back to Israel, but let me just get to know you first and have you on it. So did you grow up in Georgia?
Yes. Born and raised.
Okay.
Yes.
And what was your family like?
Oh my gosh. Very, very down home. My mom's side of the family have a very big family. My dad's side of the family is not as big. I have one brother, but...
Older or younger?
Younger, 2 years younger.
So you were the oldest?
Yes, I'm the oldest. My family, we had no money in the beginning because my dad was truck and ladder construction guy, trying to grow the family business from there. So we moved around a good bit. I went to a lot of different public schools growing up in Georgia, finished up and went to UGA. I was the first person in my family to graduate from college with a business degree, which was, pretty big deal in my family as my parents weren't able to finish college. But yeah, just very normal childhood.
When you graduated, did you have any hopes of becoming a politician?
No, never. Oh my goodness. I never wanted to have anything to do with politics. Never even thought of it.
Were back then, like, describe the 20-year-old you. Were you feisty? Were you still like a stand-up kind of person, or
No.
what were you like?
No, not at all. I don't even remember arguing with a waiter in a restaurant.
Really?
Yes, just very Southern. We grow up mild-mannered, polite,
Bless
very
your heart
sweet.
is the meanest thing you say.
Well, it has two meanings. There's a sincere bless your heart, and then there's a mean bless your heart.
I only knew the second. Okay.
Worked in my family construction business when I was a teenager, and then graduated from college and didn't even think of applying for a job anywhere. I went straight back to our family construction business.
Political family? Like, was it a lot of Republican talk or not?
Not really. I mean, of course, my parents talked about everything at the kitchen table, which honestly I think helped me so much. They discussed everything at the kitchen table, especially about our business. Whatever the problems were at the time, how much jobs cost, bidding jobs.
And it was a construction business?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Selling jobs. I mean, really the structure of running a business, the structure of running a household, household bills. My parents but they didn't argue. It was not arguing. It was just discussing, which I think I learned and benefited from that. And I think all children benefit from that when they hear their parents. But after college, I bought my family's construction business. Took me some years to buy them out and help them into retirement. And then away we went for over 2 decades. That's what I did.
Because I read that you I don't know if it was you never voted in an election until Trump, or you just hadn't voted recently prior to Trump.
The only election I didn't vote in was in 2012. I just couldn't vote for Mitt Romney.
Okay. Yeah. Why? Interesting. Because back then, at least I had a very different image of Mitt Romney in 2012 than I do now.
Mitt Romney, for me, so I'm one of those voters where I have got to feel inspired to want to vote for someone. You've got to give me a reason to want to vote for them. Otherwise, I'm like, back then, I would have been like, why am I taking time out of my day? It was really, honestly, was my mindset.
He did not inspire you.
Very non-political. He did not inspire me. I voted in the first election against Obama. It's not that I like John McCain, but it was against Barack Obama. The next time I was like, well, Barack Obama's going to win. And I definitely don't want to vote for Mitt Romney. So I was like, why would I bother?
The Bain Capital dog on the roof. What was it?
I think he just was the wing of the Republican Party I could not stand. And that, for me, was a major turnoff.
You were already in that place in 2012.
Very much so.
So when Trump comes on the scene 3 years later, were you like, wow?
Yes. I went, this is the first... I called him a politician, but he was a candidate. I was like, this is the first politician that makes sense to me because he talked the way my father and my uncles and many men in my life, especially in the construction world, talked. He talked normal, and he talked about issues that we cared about, like ending foreign wars, putting America first. And he talked about so many of the things that none of the politicians would ever dare talk about because that might not be the right way to talk.
Yep.
So he was very appealing.
Was it love at first sight? Like,
absolutely.
For a politician?
Yes, love at first sight.
So you weren't buying into any of the controversies that the media was kicking around back then. You were an early supporter.
I never bought into any of the garbage.
Well, this would be important for your future political life, to not buy into garbage being printed by the media.
We didn't buy into it. I didn't buy into it, and a lot of people I knew didn't buy into it.
But you were not yet a politician, we should point out. So you were still running a construction company. You were a business owner and businesswoman.
Raising 3 children.
Okay, so how old were your kids at this point?
Well, gosh, so they are 22, 25, and 27. So
they're adolescent.
Back in 2016, high school and middle school.
All right.
Yes.
And so now at some point you decide to throw your hat in the ring and actually run for Congress, which is a huge decision.
Yes.
So how do you go from not being really that political to actually running for office?
I know it sounds crazy. So 2016, I really started paying attention because of Donald Trump. And that led, and it was also the whole world of social media opening up. There was so much more information that was outside of mainstream news that was on social media that I found very interesting, and many people did. And so I really started paying attention. And it was watching the Republicans in 2017 fail on multiple fronts. Number one, they didn't fight against the Russia hoax. And it was so clear and obvious to me that it was a complete lie. And Republicans basically stood down and allowed Donald Trump just to be pummeled. And it was disgusting to me. I was like, how are they doing this? It just was so repulsive. And then it was in 2018, they passed the largest budget. I think at that time it was $1.3 trillion. It was a just bloated budget. They even funded Planned Parenthood. They did all these things that they had said they weren't going to do, and then they flat out did them. And then they did not repeal the Affordable Care Act.
Right.
And our family, that hurt us in particular because we bought our own health insurance. It wasn't given to us at some job. And when the Affordable Care Act passed, our family's health insurance went from around $800 a month to over $2,400 a month. It killed us. That was more than our mortgage payment.
Because if you had more than like a certain number of employees, you really took it. I remember my brother, who's also a business owner in Georgia, was trying to keep the employees under that number. I can't remember if it was under 50 or under 100, but he was trying not to hire even one more person so he could avoid the exorbitant increases that were coming from Obamacare.
Exactly. It was terrible.
Right. So what's that doing to the economy?
Killing us. It was killing us. And so all of those problems were supposed to be the problems that Republicans were supposed to fix. And at the same time, they weren't defending and protecting the president that we had elected and truly believed in his message. And I'll never forget, it was in January of 2019, watching Nancy Pelosi take the gavel and become Speaker of the House again.
Trigger.
Yeah. And I was like, I want to say the F word. But
you can on this podcast.
I did. I was like, fuck it. I'm running for Congress.
Wow.
Because I felt like they don't have regular people in there that understand. It's like, who is in Congress that gets it? And so I was so naive, though, Megyn. I was so naive. I just thought that you could just run for Congress and ask for everybody's vote and go up there and fix problems. And, oh, boy, it's been quite a ride since.
Yeah, you've learned a lot. So you were elected in what year did you come into the Congress?
2020.
Right, in 2020.
Yes.
At the height of the craziness.
Insanity.
The year America lost its mind.
Yes.
Now, what I remember back then was you got in trouble for tweets about Sandy Hook or Parkland, like...
No, they accused that. They laid that on me. But I had always been very vocal against how horrific school shootings are. They're horrific.
They're going to take anything. When you're a young Republican woman, which you're not allowed to be, that's not okay.
Right.
They're going to throw everything at you. And if they can paint you to be a nutcase, so much the better. They always say nuts are sluts. That's what they do, especially conservative women.
Oh, yeah. And I think they could tell I meant what I was saying. And so
you're threatening. You're a good communicator.
So they created this whole new character of me that didn't exist. And I was not prepared for it. I had no media training. I had nothing.
You hadn't even had a lifetime as an arguer.
No. Oh, no, never. My first GOP meeting was when I walked into one and said, I'm Marjorie Taylor Greene and I'm running for Congress. It's my first GOP meeting.
Oh.
I had no idea what I was getting into.
Well, but that's what we want, right? The whole idea of the founders was like the citizen politician who would come and serve for a limited time and not get bought and paid for and need the job or padding their, stock account, Nancy, with, access to insider information. She denies it. So that must have been very eye-opening for you to start realizing like how things work and you have to do certain things not the way you want, but the way leadership wants. You tell me, what were the eye-opening?
Oh, no. For me, I came in with my hair on fire. I was mad at everybody. Everybody.
Because you people suck.
100%.
Okay.
I was like, this whole city sucks. Like, it's destroying us. It's killing us. And that's, but you know what? I still feel that way.
Yeah.
I literally still feel that way. I wasn't ready for the media blitz. I wasn't ready for what they were going to do to me. So let me tell you, I learned all the hard lessons, and now I'm fine.
Like what?
Just how they will lie. And so I've learned that when I'm at the Capitol, my staff will record the entire in whatever questioning there is, whatever interviews I get.
Very smart.
They record them all, and we put the whole thing out on social media.
Yep.
So they can't cut up my words. At least I have a way of fighting back. So I learned little tricks like that.
How about intra-party?
Okay, intra-party is the most interesting thing. I'm not a leadership person. They can't buy my vote. They can't talk me into it. I'm so independent, and it's the best place to be. I went in believing I had to join the Freedom Caucus because I thought, okay, these are where the good guys are, like-minded people. Actually, I'm not in the Freedom Caucus anymore because oftentimes they end up making a deal or selling out, and I don't think it serves the best interest. However, there are other things that I'll vote for because, like, for example, appropriations. My district needs road project help. They need water help. They need help with police and fire requests. And I think that's what our tax dollars should go towards. I won't vote for a foreign war. I'm not voting for your foreign aid garbage. I'm not going to vote for whatever stupid special interest thing that you're going to ask me to vote for. But I want our appropriation bills, and I want the money to come back to my district.
Presumably what your constituents want from you.
That's what they want. I think that's what we're supposed to do. But I'm not going to, I'm mad every single day that we don't have a balanced budget. As a business owner, it makes no sense.
I know. You could never run a business like this.
Oh, no. We'd be homeless people.
Yes. So what happens? Was it Kevin McCarthy in 2020? I'm trying to remember who was
Kevin
speaker.
McCarthy was, he was our minority leader.
Okay.
It was Nancy Pelosi was speaker in 2021 and 2022. So you got to remember, the third day on my job was January 6th. That was the third day there. I couldn't even find the bathroom. Then we had Nancy Pelosi did the second impeachment of President Trump on January 11th. That was the same day that my father was having brain surgery to have tumors removed because he had cancer. And then it was terrible. So we were not even in session, and we had to fly back to vote on that impeachment vote. Wow. So I had to leave my mother's side, and she was beside herself because she wasn't allowed in the hospital because COVID. And so anyways, I had to fly to Washington and vote no on impeachment. That was the second week. Third week there, I got kicked off of all committees.
What'd you do?
They said they just didn't like my remarks, didn't like things I had said on social media. So Nancy...
Was it J6 related?
Actually, I think it was because I had I think it's because I introduced articles of impeachment on Joe Biden on his first day in office.
Oh, okay.
And they got mad.
The other side would never do that.
Oh, no. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So it's full-on political warfare, but it doesn't serve the American people.
So how do you, because I do wonder how they come to you to try to get you to sacrifice your beliefs and your personal commitments of how you're going to be and what you're going to prioritize. Do they tell you they're not going to fundraise for you? How do they try to make you go along?
Yeah. And okay, so each member of Congress is different. Thankfully, over 95% of my campaign money that I raise is small dollar donations under $30. We're talking about grandma giving me $20, which is the nicest campaign donation I can ever receive.
Yeah.
It
means more than the $2,000 check
Oh my
sometimes.
gosh, that comes with a handwritten note and a prayer. And you're like,
yeah,
I feel guilty to even take it. It's such a nice thing. But those are my donors, and they're just sincere Americans, and they're the greatest. So you can't, here's how it works. Most members of Congress don't have that. They have to raise the max donations that come from the big dollar donors. And so those are going to be the very rich party people in their district, but they'll also be max dollar donors from around the country. Well, in Washington, D.C., you've got the entire lobbying world, and they work for all the industries that come to Washington needing anything and everything.
What are the most lucrative ones? If you wanted to do it a different way and you just wanted to get donations, I'm going to line my pockets so I have an easy re-election, who would you say yes to?
You would say yes to the military industrial base, and you would say yes to Big Pharma. And you would say yes to Big Farm. You would say yes to agriculture. You would say yes to the major food industries.
Some of this is explaining why Hegseth and RFKJ had such a difficult time getting confirmed.
Yes, because they aren't bought in by those people.
Yeah.
And so let's say that I'm one of those members and say that that's where I'm going to get my fundraising from. It works out really simple. The lobbyists come and they say, hey, why don't we have a little cocktail gathering for you off the Hill, because you can't do any fundraising on the Hill. Off the Hill, and we'll bring some people together. We're going to need your support on the NDAA this year. We're also going to need you on that farm bill. We're going to be doing some work, helping out with major grants and studies for the pharmaceutical companies. And then let's say that somebody like me is like, oh, yeah, that sounds great. Well, they can throw together an hour and a half little cocktail party with some nice little drinks and some, little cocktail sausages on a stick and a few other things. And then the lobbyists can come in, and then you bring in all the executives and high-level people from all those different companies that say the lobbyist represents. They all come in and write max donor checks, which it depends on what they can write for. You can write for a primary, you can write for the general, and you can write for a runoff. And so I think that's a $3,800 max contribution per person for each race in one cycle. And
so you mean I could do like 38, 38, and 38?
Yes.
Oh, I see. So
and
the
then
numbers can get high.
Oh, gosh. Imagine what that turns into, and you multiply that by 20 people or 40 people in one room.
Yep.
Well, they're getting their campaign pockets loaded. Do that a couple of times throughout a campaign cycle, and that gives that politician that gives them enough money to get reelected again, and they never had to go home and take a $20 check or even a $5 wadded up, hand it in your hand, and your handshake.
These people own you.
They own them, 1,000%. And then what happens? That translates to, well, we're coming up on appropriations right now. Okay, Megyn, I'm going to make this real simple because this is a process that's really hard to understand. I had to learn it too. September 30th, every single year, is our government funding deadline. And Congress is constitutionally required to fund the government. That's what we're supposed to do. It's our job. So that makes sense. Well, there's 12 separate appropriation bills, and that funds like every different department and section of the government, ranging from the Department of Defense to the Department of Agriculture to TSA, Border Patrol, ICE, all of this. Really important stuff. Okay, we in the House have only passed 2 of our 12 appropriation bills. Only 2 of them. Took us 7 months to pass 2. We've been out on recess for it'll be 5 weeks by the time we go back on September 2nd. Okay, get ready for this. Going back in September, we're only going to be in session for 15 days. 15 work days.
Why?
I can't even tell you. It makes no logical sense to me. To me, that's a calendar set up for failure. So that means the House has 15 days to pass 10 more appropriation bills in order to fund the government. And the Senate has only passed 3 out of their 12 appropriation bills, and they have roughly the same amount of time.
Why can't we pass any of these bills?
Here's why. Well, number one, I don't know why. They don't have them finished. And I don't know, I can't comprehend why they don't have them finished, but you have the pulling and tugging.
Behind the scenes of those lobbyists saying, make sure this gets covered.
Yes. And so they're packing in all the appropriation bills with all the crap. Yep. And then they have members like me that is saying, I will never vote for that.
Right.
And so that means that if you're leadership, you likely don't have the votes to pass these appropriation bills because the appropriation bills are so disgusting.
Well, it's like what we saw with the big, beautiful bill. And we got a closer look at how that process played out, but on a smaller scale.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. No, and then it's government funding. And so what all your poor viewers are probably going to have to watch during September is we won't get appropriations done. Oh, we're going to have to pass the CR.
Yep. I never follow those battles. I've made it a point in my 20-plus year career as a journalist to not pay any attention to that.
Good for you.
Because eventually the CR gets passed. Yep. Eventually some agreement is reached. And I spared no agita during the process. It was like, I have no tolerance. I like a Congress. I feel like we have to move on without them.
Absolutely.
They're no good to us anymore.
But it's also the reason why we're $37 trillion in debt. Mm-hmm. It's a broken system. It's just a broken system.
So one you didn't mention, but I think is also in there, is AIPAC.
Yes.
We should talk about that because it's the Israeli, pro-Israeli American group.
Yes.
And they are also very good about recruiting politicians early on in their careers. Mm-hmm. And they, like those other groups you mentioned, are deep-pocketed and would love to buy your vote. Mm-hmm. And now they're becoming more controversial because people like you are sort of saying, you don't own me. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of politicians to my left and my right, and literally to your left and right, because the Democrats and Republicans who have been purchased, who now may not have the freedom to speak as openly about their thoughts on this. And I think this audience knows, and I know where you stand too on Israel and all that, but I've been very pro-Israel, and I've been very defensive of their right to defend themselves in this nightmare.
Of course.
And I've been very defensive of American Jews on campuses who are just being harassed, and it's ridiculous.
Of course.
But I have absolutely no skin whatsoever in defending any lobbyist group, including AIPAC.
Right.
So I would love to know what they do to get the loyalty of politicians, because I will say I have had multiple reach outs to me, both from friends and from connected people in D.C., begging me to go to Israel with them. Mm-hmm. And I have said no every time. I'm just too busy. I have 3 kids. I have a full-time job. I'm not doing it. But lately, it seems like it's coming to be even more, because I feel like there's a contingent of people who are worried that they're losing me. Uh-huh. And I've said that you're not losing. I'm not on Hamas's side.
No, God, no. Nobody's on Hamas's side.
But it's been a while now that this has been going on.
Right.
And we're getting more involved with the Iranian bombing and so on.
Sure.
And my own feelings are, I'm looking at Israel in a different way right now than I was on 10/8, that's for sure, of 23.
Right.
And I can feel the pressure being slightly ratcheted up, like you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to. Mm-hmm. And I can see people like you, like Tucker, who I know Tucker. I've known him for years. And I've seen you in your early career. I know you have nothing against Israel.
Oh, gosh, no.
Never mind Jews. Yeah. That's all a lie. But,
right.
And I see the beatdowns coming. Like, you're not allowed. Like, you have to stay right on this lily pad.
Yes.
And you cannot jump to another neighboring lily pad, because it could take you all the way down the river away.
That's
so
right.
I'm very interested in this dynamic.
Yeah. Well, I find it fascinating that you're getting asked more and more and more. I've been asked more and more and more. Well, you're a person of very big influence. You've got a big voice. You've got a large audience. They also take a lot of influencers. They invite tons of influencers.
Many of whom have invited me. Like, we're all going together, and will you come? Like, they seem to be coming at me from a number of ways, which only really kind of raises my hackles. Like, I'm not going. I'm going to stay right here. I can cover this conflict from here, and I don't wish to be wooed by any side. I actually don't wish to be persuaded.
Have you been invited by any other foreign country?
No.
Okay, that's the part, right? So we have tons of lobbyists, foreign countries' lobbyists that come to Washington, D.C. Pretty much every country has some sort of representative. They have an ambassador they send to Washington. It's naturally in their interest. We can understand that. They also are required to register under FARA. It's a law. They have to register as a foreign agent, a foreign lobbyist. That is required. It's extremely important. Here's the difference with AIPAC. AIPAC is not registered under FARA, under this law that requires anyone coming to lobby a member of Congress or a senator or department of the government and the federal government on behalf of another country. So AIPAC argues, but we're Americans. Yes, they are Americans, but they are coming to Congress and to the federal government asking on behalf of the country of Israel. And I fully agree with you, Megyn. We are not against Israel. We are all for their right to defend themselves, just as we are for any Jewish person on campus. Just as I think we could talk about young white males in high school that are constantly getting beat up.
Yeah.
Guess what? They should have a right to defend themselves too, and people should stand up for them as well. We think anybody that is a victim should be able to defend themselves. However, Israel is the only country I know of that has some sort of incredible influence and control over nearly every single one of my colleagues. And it is, I don't know how to explain it.
I mean, I believe it just given the amount of reach out I've had in this position, and I don't vote on anything. And if I had taken money, I could see them really thinking that they had a right to control my speech or, my positions, which is why I never have. Of course, I mean, in what context would I? I don't take advertising from, random people. Like I always say, I have Genucel, whose cosmetics are really nice.
We love good cosmetics.
Yeah, but I can't be bought by a special interest group. But I can see it because, look, no one wants to feel like their position has been bought and paid for. But these politicians, they have. And so I can see why AIPAC would get mad if these politicians then turned on them and didn't support. It's like, what did my 3,800 times 3 get me if you're not going to vote for my issues?
Exactly, because AIPAC are Americans, therefore they can legally donate to members of Congress and senators. So let's talk about how that works. AIPAC takes every single that they can, freshman member of Congress or first year in Congress, they take them on a very special trip to Israel in August. August is our recess. It's our month-long district work period. That's
Dems and Republicans or just Republicans?
They take both of them. Oh. Yes. And they invite pretty much everyone, to my knowledge. So they take them on this trip to Israel. I guess they go on tours all around. I didn't go, so I don't know what they do there. But they take them on tours, like the pictures we've seen recently of the speaker and other members of Congress at the Wailing Wall.
They've all gone.
They've all gone.
You see them all.
And they wear the kippah. And even though they're Christians, they're not Jewish, but yet they're adorning Jewish attire, and they're at these Jewish religious sites. Then they also meet with different members of the Israeli government. Now, we got to recognize the Israeli government is secular. This is not the biblical Israel. It is the secular government of Israel. And so they meet with their members of all throughout their government, and the prime minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, meets with them. And so they've done that trip already this month. The new freshmen and members of our leadership all went and they did that trip. Here's what else they do. AIPAC takes influencers. They take really big people like you. They want you to come over there. They want to pull you in because they want to pull you on their side. And why is that? Okay, for members of Congress, every single year, annually, Israel receives, and we have to vote on it, it's a yes or no vote, $3.8 billion in funding for Israel. Now, what does that money mean? Well, they'll say, "Oh, well, this is for Israel. It's them to be able to defend themselves. They're the only democracy in the Middle East. Yep. They're constantly under attack. They're surrounded by their enemies who wants to annihilate them."
That's all true.
Sure, we're not arguing those points. However, let's flip over and look at, what does this mean? Number one, Israel is doing so well with their economy, and I'm excited for them. This is a big deal. I wish we were doing this good. We're $37 trillion in debt. Israel is less than $400 billion in debt. Less than. If you're an Israeli citizen, you have government-funded health care and you have government-funded college. So why is America having to give Israel $3.8 billion? If they're doing so great and they're funding healthcare and college, and their government is their economy is doing so well and their tax revenue is so good that they're less than $400 billion in debt, why is dead broke America having to send $3.8 billion? Well, then they argue back and they go, "Oh, but this helps America's economy." Well, how is that? Tell me how it helps. Okay, well, because we buy money from your defense contractors. Although, guess what? This is really interesting. We give a ton of money to all these foreign countries. And if it's military aid, they're required to purchase weapons from our defense contractors. Except Israel is the only one with an exception. They don't have to buy from our American defense contractors. They can use that money to buy from Israeli defense contractors.
Oh, wow.
So there's a funny little exception. Just like the same exception that Israel has, that this just came from Judge McFadden. He just had a ruling that you can burn any flag in the United States of America, and including our own American flag, except you can't burn the Israeli flag in America.
Who said that?
Judge McFadden.
In what context?
In his court. It just happened.
Well, that's not going to be upheld.
Shouldn't be.
That's a violation of the First Amendment, blatant, and it will be struck down as soon as it goes up on appeal. What a ridiculous notion.
Should be. He said in what he wrote is that the Israeli flag, it's an identity, a race, and it would be a hate crime. Yeah.
Wrong.
Yes.
Wrong. That's getting struck down. But I see why you're raising it, because I'm picturing, look, I have a lot of very, very close friends who are Jewish, who are very big supporters of Israel. And some faction of them will say, like, well, why would you platform an MTG? She's definitely gone anti-Israel. And I don't care whether you're anti-Israel or not. Any anti-Israel people are welcome here. Of
course.
You're allowed to have that view. It's a country that's involved in a war, and you don't have to be pro any country in order to come here. But I know you're not.
I'm not anti.
I know you're not.
Yeah.
But I am also sensing, I discussed this with Charlie Kirk recently, how we're just getting to a place now. The more you tell me I can't talk to somebody or about something, the more I'm guaranteed going to do it. No one owns me, and I will talk about it, and I will hear you out, and I want to hear why you're having this kind of experience times 10,000. Yes. My little lily pad, and you're way down there, and there I can see you getting rained down on. And I don't like it, Marjorie. I have to tell you, I don't like it, because this is America. You're allowed to have your view. Israel's not America. They're a friend to America, but they're not America.
No.
And we do have areas in which we have divergent interests. And it is our obligation, and yours especially as a representative, to say when you see a divergence you cannot reconcile.
Right.
Where you got to choose one.
Yes.
Right? That's what I see happening to you. So what happened? How did you find yourself in this place? Because you stopped voting for funding for the Israel war?
Yeah, it was easy for me. I'm a business owner. So right now, I feel like I'm part of a board of 435 members of Congress, where we should act like an executive board of a company. And I feel like our company, the United States of America's federal government, is a company that has sirens blaring, and we are on the verge of literally imploding and going out of business.
Bankruptcy, yeah.
Massively. I also pay a lot of attention to our economy. Being a business owner in the construction industry, my success of my business, for as long as I've run it, rises and falls with the economy. And I'm very concerned. The cost of doing business is extremely high. The cost of living is extremely high. Insurance is completely out of control. Car, health, life insurance, business insurance, you name it.
Forget homeowners insurance. That's almost impossible to even find as an offering anywhere.
And if you're under 40, forget being able to buy a home.
Right.
They don't even have the hope of that.
Can't get a job. I heard you and Tucker talking about how he was saying some 14 friends of his daughter, they all graduated, 3 out of 14 had jobs. I can see this in our kids are a little younger than college age now, but our friends, some of them got started earlier, and a lot of their kids are now graduating from college. Great colleges, smart kids, cannot find jobs.
This is so heartbreaking. So for me, I'm not anti-Israel. I'm not anti any country. I've turned radically and unapologetically for America, just flat out for America. I'm like, I'm sorry, we don't have time to fund what you're doing. No, we don't. You guys are doing great.
If we had the extra, totally.
Yeah.
But we don't.
We don't have the money. We don't have the money. And not only do we not have the money, the middle class is turning into the working poor. If you're a young married couple today and you make together over $100,000, you are dead ass broke. You are barely making it month to month.
You retweeted this on Sunday. It's a woman who's out there on Twitter complaining about what her life is like given the financial situation she's in. Here it is, Top 55.
Hey, TikTok. I'm just on here wondering if anybody's feeling the same way I'm feeling. I'm from Illinois, and I feel like the gas prices and the electric bills and the prices of food is just so overwhelming anymore. Like, I'm wondering if anybody else is feeling like they're drowning and they can't get out. I work overtime and I cannot get above water. I mean, I literally have no gas for next week. It was either that or get a few groceries to get by. I hit my local food pantries. I'm just wondering if anybody else feels like they're drowning. Anyway, I hope everybody has a great day.
Oh, this poor woman. You can see it. You can see her trying to just keep it together.
Yeah. But that woman she didn't just lose her job. She's not somebody that refuses to work and is
she has a job.
Working overtime.
Yep.
And she's going to the food pantry and she's sitting in her car so overwhelmed by the cost of living and the fact that she can't ever get ahead, she can't even keep up. And she's sitting in her car alone, crying, pleading, trying to find some connection with somebody on social media. Megyn, there's those videos are, oh my gosh, a dime a dozen. Mm-hmm. They're all over social media.
What's the cause of it? I look at that. My first instinct is you should get out of Illinois and a blue run state and probably a blue run city. But I don't know that that's the magical elixir.
And then how hard is that for her?
No, I know.
Yeah.
But what causes it? Because I lived in Illinois for 5 years, and
right.
it's like California. It's completely captured by the left. There are some Republican voters, but they're not represented at all, thanks to gerrymandering.
Yep.
But I'm not sure what they're doing with their money. They collect it in large measure from their taxpayers, and then like the teachers union may get it. I don't see it trickling down to children or the working class or the poor. It's not a bunch of social safety net programs that are helping people like that get better. And so I've been wrestling with this for the past few years as inflation has gone up and people are really suffering. Okay, we can get rid of President Biden, who spends like a drunken sailor and doesn't care.
Yeah.
Okay, we did that. It can't be fixed overnight.
No.
President Trump is also a spender.
Yes.
Is that the solution, or is it local governance? Like, if you had your magic wand, where would you even begin to help somebody like that?
I think it's, unfortunately, we've gotten so far now, we're in the all of the above. So here's our reality. And this really, we were headed this way even under the Trump administration. Like I said, Republicans were big spenders. President Trump spent a lot of money. Yep. That CARES Act was 5.2 or 5.7 trillion, the one that was passed at the very beginning of COVID. That started. But then what the Biden administration did is they spent an insane amount of money.
And they knew we couldn't afford it. Like, it had been too much already.
Yeah.
They were told, we don't have that 2.7 trillion or whatever that one was at the beginning of, in early 2020. And he did it anyway.
Right. That was like, we had a wildfire going.
Late 2020.
Yeah. We had a wildfire going, and then it was like the Biden administration came and just poured gasoline all over it. And then now it's become a forest fire that's completely out of control. And it's like, where do you start putting it out? Like I said, so rescissions, we're doing rescissions. That's where we cut USAID, NPR, CBP. That came from my work on, I chair the DOJ subcommittee on oversight.
Yeah, yep.
That came from our hearings and that work, and we put them into rescission cuts. But Megyn, you wouldn't believe it. We had 4 Republicans that voted against it. Didn't even want to cut NPR.
Probably. What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's insane.
I love it, and I love DOJ, but it's teaspoons in the ocean, right? It's entitlements. If we're going to do government spending, that's the only place to really make up money.
Yep. But then we have, like, Americans are taxed to death. You pay a tag tax. You pay a gas tax. You pay, you're taxed on your sales tax, your property tax.
There's a death tax.
Death tax, yes.
They tax you when you die.
Yes, when
on
you
money
die.
you already paid taxes on.
Yeah. So there's taxes on everything. But then what has happened with this insane spending and the national debt? So not only do we have $37 trillion in debt, we pay $1 trillion a year in interest on our $37 trillion in debt. Here's what I'm saying is, it's out of control. It's like so out of control, but yet Washington is totally tone deaf to this poor woman and the millions and millions of Americans that are just like her, that are crying in their cars. They're making these videos. God knows if they're crying on social media in their cars, I don't know what they're doing, how they look and feel, and emotionally and physically how they're doing in their free time. But this is how it's totally failing America. And your kids are not even out of the house yet. My kids are trying to get started in their 20s. And it's this whole young generations of Americans. And Megyn, here's what I think it's going to produce. If Republicans aren't solving the problem, mainstream Democrats didn't solve the problem. They created the problem. then many of these young people that are voters and should be really starting to engage into the political process and voting for our country leaders to fix their problems, they're only going to turn to radicals. Because it's like,
we're seeing it.
They're going to be like, screw the Republicans, screw the Democrats. They're going to turn to radicals that are going to make, like Mamdani, he's pushing for full-blown socialism, if not communism.
Yeah, that's terrifying. And he has huge support among young people.
And he can't pay for all that stuff he's promised.
No, oh, hell no.
It's all a lie. It's like, sounds great. And he's putting it to the system. And he's like, I care about you. But it's all a lie. Like, he can't deliver it.
Did you know that up until the 1990s, all chips and fries were cooked in beef tallow, not seed oils? But then big food companies made the switch to cheap, highly processed seed oils, and now they make up 20% of the average American's daily calories. This is why I'm excited to tell you about masa. It's a chip that's doing things differently, and it's awesome. This is officially my favorite chip. Masa chips are made with just 3 ingredients: organic corn, sea salt, and 100% grass-fed beef tallow. That's it. No seed oils, no junk. And let me tell you, they are so good. Legit. They are delicious. You order them, they come like by the half a dozen, so you get a bunch. You can get the variety pack. I love the white corn, gotta say, and I love the lime too. They're crunchier, they're tastier. They don't break in your guac. It's like a firm chip, but not too firm. It's just perfect. And the right amount of salt and flavor, ideal. They leave you feeling light, satisfied, and energized. No crash, no bloat, because it doesn't have all the gross stuff in it. Go and try them for yourself. They really are a game changer. You will taste the difference. Masa chips, beloved by thousands of customers, and they've been endorsed by industry-leading health and nutrition experts and by me. Are you ready to give masa a try? Do it. Go to masachips.com/MK, MASA chips.com/MK. Use the code MK when you check out for 25% off your first order. masachips.com/MK, code MK when you check out for 25% off your first order. I don't even know what to recommend to the young people. I mean, certainly they should vote Republican over Democrat, but I don't know that Republicans are their solution either. You know, for a long time now, I've been feeling like the only answer is outside of government. You know, the future has to be outside of government, has to be with people like Elon or David Sachs or some big brain person who's doing something other than legislating. But the problem is the government continues to bankrupt us. So no matter how well those other guys do or other solutions they come up with, we're still stuck with all this spending, and it is our money.
Yes.
Well, but this is all, we won't solve it here, sadly, but this is all sort of background to why you do not want to give Israel or any other country.
Right.
Because you're saying like AIPAC should register under FARA. I assume you would say so should CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations.
Absolutely. Anybody, anyone, I don't care who you are. If you are coming and talking to members of Congress, anybody in the government on behalf of another country, even let's talk about what's that other one? Christians United for Israel. Like they'll send a pastor from my district into my office. Well, they're from my district. They should register under FARA.
You're saying you shouldn't have to just be foreigners. If your primary purpose is to advance the interests of a foreign government or a foreign country, then you should have to register.
Absolutely.
Would that change their ability to raise money? What would it do to AIPAC if that were to happen?
Well, I think that holds them accountable under the law. Why do they get a pass? Why does AIPAC get to take members of Congress, social media influencers, people like you with giant shows, Newsmax? They took Newsmax. They take Fox News people. They take all these people. They take them on the Turning Point USA influencers. They take them to Israel, all expenses paid.
Well, I would never accept that. Never.
Right. Exactly. So why do they get to do that? Why does AIPAC?
I won't even go to Mar-a-Lago. Like, I don't. President Trump tried to get me to go to Mar-a-Lago back in 2015. I was like, hell no, I can't. I can't. I mean, like, I'm in a different business. And the politicians, frankly, should see themselves in a different business.
I agree.
They have different people to whom they answer. You know, I answer to my audience. They have to be able to trust that I'm not bought and paid for by anyone.
I so respect that.
And politicians should be in the same business I'm in a different way.
Yes, I completely agree.
It's very disheartening. I have nothing against AIPAC. I don't actually fully understand what they do. I do have something against CARE. But I agree that like all biases should be out and accounted for
Yes.
and obvious
Yes.
to anyone who's being offered anything by these groups or asked to attend anything by them or in any way going into business with them.
Yep.
That just makes perfect sense to me.
It makes perfect sense to pretty much everybody outside of this weird bubble of Washington, D.C.
So I don't get it then. But like, why are you ostracized? People are saying she's not going to win her next race. Like Trump's turned on her, they say.
No, he hasn't.
Okay, so what's that about? Like, is that's not real, or
No.
is the GOP turning on you because of this, or is it just loud people who whose interests are more closely aligned with Israel?
Well, number one, so Donald Trump is the most attacked, I'd say, human being ever by the establishment media. I would say I'm the most attacked member of Congress ever by the establishment media. I have supported him unapologetically. They would love to be able to say MTG and Trump have split. And they're trying to say that, yet I talk to the president routinely. I text with him. He and I have a great relationship.
You would know if things were not good.
Yes.
I can speak to that.
Yes. Now, here's the other side of it. I got elected on my own. I didn't get elected with a Trump endorsement. I beat 8 men in a primary who I respected every single one of them. I thought, wow, these guys are great. How am I going to win? But somehow I beat the heck out of all of them. So I also have the, I would say, luxury of being a very independent member of Congress. And I can disagree with the president. I can. And I already have on multiple fronts. The Genius Act that just recently passed that set up the whole system for stable coin. And I didn't vote for that bill because it has a back door for a central bank digital currency, which I am largely against. And Speaker Johnson didn't allow us to do amendments on that bill to amend that part of the bill. So I said, I'm a no vote. That was President Trump's
You were
bill.
against the bombing of Iran. You said so.
Yep, I was against bombing Iran. I'm against paying for Israel to continue to keep bombing Gaza. I think it's a humanitarian crisis. I've called it a genocide. And children are starving to death. I've talked to Christian pastors there that have told me that Christians have been killed and children are being starving against. I'm a Christian myself. I'm against children.
Let's talk about that one.
Starving.
There's daylight between us because I believe that children are starving and hurting in Gaza, no question. But I blame Hamas. I do see what's happening with the Israeli aid and the food trucks, and they get co-opted by Hamas, by certain Palestinians. And that's why, and the more suffering children they can get on a camera over there, the better in their minds. These are not honest brokers. They steal from their own people. They're happy to watch their children starve to death as long as they can put the emaciated baby on camera. It's disgusting. They don't have the same value toward human life that we do, and yes, that Israel has. I'm not saying Israel's perfect. They haven't executed this whole thing perfectly, not by a long shot, but when I see what's happening with the starving children, I blame Hamas.
Well, they started
Am I wrong?
it. They started it. So October 7th was unbelievably horrific. It's unspeakable what Hamas did. I totally blame Hamas. The war wouldn't even be happening if Hamas hasn't done all the things that they've done, right? Firing rockets into Israel, kidnapping and murdering all these people, suicide bombers over the years. Absolutely. They started this and it's horrible. I think it's Israel's, they can pinpoint areas, but they're just mass bombing everywhere, and the videos coming out of there are terrible. I'll also say this, Megyn, that conflict has been going on I'm 51 years old. It's been going on way beyond before I was born or any of us were born. I can't even tell you I qualify to solve it. I think God is the only person that can solve it.
You don't think Mara Gaza is the solution?
No. No, not at all.
My problem is, when you use the word genocide, like, I don't believe that, but I also don't have any meaningful video or picture source that I trust.
Yeah,
You know?
I think it's fair to say that no one does, right? Although I haven't seen the number of dead children, injured children, starving children coming out of the Ukraine-Russian conflict like we've seen come out of the Israel-Gaza conflict.
Isn't that because of the Palestinians and their amazing propaganda abilities? Like, I think that's the reason, because the Palestinians put all this on camera and release it. That they make sure that we see this. which is another reason to be suspicious of it. I don't know what I'm being fed or for what purpose.
Yeah.
The Ukrainians aren't doing that, and the Russians aren't doing that.
But why not, though? Why isn't Ukraine and Russia
they're not good at propaganda.
doing that to each other?
See, this is
Well,
why
I don't know. I think Zelensky's pretty good at propaganda.
maybe, but I guess he doesn't have like the lifelong commitment to it that the Palestinians. I mean, since I've been in news, the Palestinians have been doing this.
Yeah.
And they're very good manipulators of media, of cameras.
You've been in the news business much longer than me.
I've been burned enough times by them. Like, I've gone with their numbers over the years enough times. I've been like, oh my God, this is another fucking lie. All they do is make up lies and numbers.
Right.
Then you run with it. And, if you're smart, you pay attention, you get burned. Then you realize, I do not trust the Hamas Ministry of Health. So that's kind of how I've come to it. But I also feel like it's also undeniable that at this point, Israel has lost, or most charitably is losing, the propaganda war. Mm-hmm. And I know why. They're not fighting it as well as Hamas. They never have. And I think people gave them a huge benefit of the doubt in the beginning of this war. It was like we were still getting bombarded by images and false facts by the Palestinians. But it was like, you know what? We're impenetrably on Israel's side. We saw what you did on 10/7. But it's been 2 years now.
Yeah.
And I know Israel says, well, we still have 20 hostages left, or whatever the exact
20
number
that are
is.
alive. 50, but I think they think 20 are still
that are alive.
Yeah.
But my question is, how long, and with all due respect to the hostages, how long can we justify nonstop war based on the hostages? And it's not that I have no empathy for the hostages. It's just at some point, war must stop, or at least we have to stop funding it at some point.
See, that's where I'm at. We don't need to fund it. That's where I'm at. I can't fix it. I can't even step in there and come up with a solution to repair it. You want to know why? I can't even relate to it. I don't live there. I don't live on either side. I certainly do not support Hamas ever, never couldn't even defend them in any position. However, I do know all the videos and pictures I've seen of these children. I do know that, but I can also say Americans don't want to fund this anymore. We just don't. And I also can say Israel, and even Lindsey Graham said it recently. He said, if Israel wanted to commit genocide, they could.
It could.
And you want to know what that is? That's an admission by Lindsey Graham saying that Israel is completely competent. Therefore, why are we funding it?
Can I ask you that? Because my understanding is the reason, generally that we fund Israel so much more than a lot of other countries is where we started. That they really are the only democracy in the Middle East. There's only one Jewish state. There's some 30 Muslim nations, but only one Jewish state. So they need to exist. They have no place else to go. It's not an area of the world that's very hospitable to Jewish people.
Right.
And they are allied with the United States. They seem to share a lot of our values. So you watch, this is a weird way of looking at it, but I look at what's happening in Dearborn, Michigan, with the call to prayer 5 times a day on the streets of an American city, and Muslim immigrants coming over here and having 7 children each family. And look at the birth rates in Europe right now, which are largely non-existent for white native Europeans, but sky high for Islamic immigrants, many of whom are Islamists. And I think this is an existential situation here. Is it so bad to have this one country in the middle of the Middle East, which is a very rough neighborhood, Syria, Lebanon, that likes us, that will help us, that would, if we ever had a conflict there, help with our military staging, that has amazing intelligence, that it shares with us, that has amazing abilities to effect, terrorist takedown plans, which is also helpful. So these strategic reasons make sense to me too, for our understanding we don't have endless funds to spend some there.
Yeah, that's been the thinking, and that's what Americans have largely believed, and that's how the U.S. government has largely functioned for as long as I can remember. Although if you look at Israel, you have to recognize in the context of these conversations, not only are they such a strong economic country, not only have they proven that their military they're annihilating their enemy.
Totally.
They're going to finish the job, and they're saying they're going to finish the job. They also have nuclear weapons. This is a nuclear-armed nation.
So you're saying you agree with all that, but they got it.
I'm saying America is a sinking ship we're sinking so badly. Our children have no hope of ever buying a home in the future. We pass a budget that is overblown and ridiculous every single year, and we are dragging. We're going to be 40. We're 37 now. It'll be 40 trillion in a matter of who knows months or
but with
a year.
respect to Israel and like the sense it makes of this alliance, what I hear you saying is fine, but they've got it. They're actually not facing an existential threat right now. They've devastated all their immediate enemies all around Israel. So
look at the action.
If this were a situation where Israel actually were on the verge of not existing,
I think we'd have a different conversation.
Okay, I get it.
Look at that. I just go by. I'm a action versus words person. So for me, I'm like, wow, the 12-day war with Iran, which I was totally like, we shouldn't be doing this. Israel's a nuclear armed nation. Look at the outcome there. They did nothing to Israel. They did shoot missiles in there, but did they really do anything to Israel? No. And could they have? No. Israel's a nuclear armed nation. Mm-hmm. They're surrounded by their enemies per se, and that's constantly said over and over again. But Israel is a nuclear armed nation. They can nuke these people off the planet if they want to. Mm-hmm. And they have proven with their actions what they will do to their enemies to the point of like I said, they're starving children in Gaza. There are innocent Christians have been killed. Christian churches have been bombed. They are proving that these 50 hostages that are left and they're demanding back, they are proving that they will turn the entire Gaza Strip to rubble to get their 50 people back. I think that's a country that America can say, they got it.
You got this.
But we're not doing the same thing for our people. That's
right. We're kind of losing our shining city on the hill feel as you look back at our friend from Illinois and driving her car, and there are millions more just like her.
Tons of them.
I mean,
they're filled in my district.
If you told me tomorrow that we're pulling all the aid from Israel, I would say, oh, good God, who's going to decide where it goes? That's one of my other concerns here.
Like, write a check to Americans.
Yeah.
I mean, that poor woman in her car, or it's like
Trump actually made some noise about giving a rebate to people from the tariff income.
And everybody was like, thank God.
Real people were like that.
Yes.
But, sort of talking heads who work for like muckety muck magazines always said, tisk, use it to pay down the debt, which is another thing. But
right.
They didn't want that woman in the car getting it directly.
Yeah. No, the sad reality is that, so here's what I keep telling everybody in Washington. I'm like, oh, you think we're going to win the midterms by spending all this stupid money again, not solving everybody's problems? Really, everybody's going to run out and vote for Republicans again? It's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think people...
Especially when Trump is gone.
He's not on the ballot. That's right.
What happens then? What happens to MAGA in the next presidential election?
I think we're going to see all kinds of stuff happen. There's all kinds of levels of MAGA, right? There's your hardcore base believers. Then there's newer adopters that maybe they came on in the last administration later, or maybe they came on this time, like they're more MAHA or independents that were like, we're done with the Democrats. We've got to find a new way. I'm going to tell you, I think those new ones are a lot of them are going to fall off. But I don't think they're turning, without him. And I don't think they're necessarily turning back to Democrats. I think they're just falling off going, who?
Do you think there's anyone in the movement that they could get behind after Trump?
Right now, I think J.D. Vance has got the large lead. That's what the polling shows. But will he come out unscathed over these next?
No one does. No vice president will. But.
And a lot of people are mad. They want accountability. I want accountability. I'm still pissed off that schools were shut down, that what they did during COVID.
Remember all that?
Oh, yeah.
You were on the right side of all that.
All these people that died from taking a vaccine.
You wouldn't call Dr. Fauci doctor, which I have to say, hats off to you.
Thank you.
He did not behave like a medical professional. He was actually involved, we believe, in causing the pandemic.
Yeah.
Never took responsibility for it. We believe lied under oath.
He did lie under oath.
Why should he get the honorific?
The man is walking around with a government taxpayer funded pension today. And he got a pardon from a brain dead president.
And tried to ruin the careers of good doctors who were speaking up, like Dr. Jay Bhattacharya.
Absolutely. He was, censored or he lost his social media?
Yeah, and they tried to dismiss him as fringe and tamp down his conspiracy theory of let's focus protection, meaning protect the elderly and not the young people.
Right. So today, when I'm watching the news, 2017 talking points on the Russia hoax and all the bad guys, Comey, Brennan, and Clapper, and Hillary Clinton and Obama and all these people that's being talked about. Here's the reality. None of those people actually physically hurt me. And for most Americans, especially younger Americans that are like, what happened? Because if you're 30 years old, that was almost 10 years ago?
Right. You were basically still in puberty.
You're going out having a good time, enjoying your young adult life, and you are clueless about that stuff. You're like, wait, why do I have to hate these people?
How is this going to help me?
How did that make my rent cost so much? So, but yet what they do know is...
So some things the older people need, Marjorie. Some of us need to see an indictment of someone like a Brennan or a Tish James. Not everything is for the young people.
I agree.
But I take your point.
I agree with you. I want accountability for all of that. But I want accountability more for the people that really hurt American lives. There's this political warfare, and it's happening in the upper elites.
Yeah.
But yet there's nobody fighting it for the regular people.
So, do you think a J.D. Vance could unite MAGA with the less MAGA-friendly Republican base? Like the old Republican base. Mm-hmm. That's not really the base anymore.
Here's how I see it. So we have the baby boomer generation, which is my parents. I don't know. Is that your parents too?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're primarily Fox News watchers, right? They have it on all day long on their television.
Yes, totally.
So that's the Republican older voting class. And then I'm Gen X. I'm 51 years old, and so you are too. Okay, yeah. So
I'm 54.
Yeah, so we barely survived growing up, right?
We had no parents.
We had no parents. we were outside until the lights came on.
That's it.
Yeah, and then we'd drink out of the water hose.
The parents had to be reminded that we existed at 10 p.m. service announcements on the TV.
Oh my gosh. Do you remember that?
Yes.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Hello? What? How sick is that? That's what we grew up in. No car seats, no seat belts, no baby seats, none of that. Nothing.
I love this.
No restraints of any kind.
I could go for days on this. Okay, so that's our generation. And so we're at this strange middle point where some of us are still in the establishment Republican mindset, but then there's a lot of us that are really independent and we're like going, hold on now. Like we're really kind of tracking and falling off. And then anybody under 40, holy shit, where are they at?
Yeah.
They're like,
I don't know which way is up.
They're like, yeah, they're lost. It's a major dynamic of everything there. And so what I see the future for the Republican voter, well, no one's going to fill Trump's shoes. He's a billionaire. He is a celebrity. He owns beautiful resorts and hotels and golf courses all over the world. He has the connections this man had before he even ran with every celebrity and sports icons.
Nobody will ever equal him on the give a shit meter.
No.
He doesn't give a shit.
Right.
You'll never find somebody who is as carefree as he is and when saying what they really think.
Well, even if we did, it'll never carry that weight. Because of who Donald Trump is.
And he was a lifetime Democrat.
Yeah.
Who then became a Republican because you have to be one or the other to win the presidency. But he's not really a partisan guy, which I think people have found very, very appealing.
Yes.
He knew how to speak to the right. Truly, to get elected as president as a Republican, you need to say you're going to lower people's taxes, that you're going to be pro-life, you're going to protect guns.
Right.
If you do those three things, even if you are secretly a Democrat, you could get elected president as a Republican.
I think that's probably a true statement.
So I think most people on the right did not give two shits whether he really meant it, so long as he actually governed according to it, which he has. But I think in his heart, he's really just not a partisan person, which is part of his appeal.
Absolutely.
But everybody coming up behind him is.
Oh, very much. And it gave him credibility, right? Like, oh, I was a Democrat. I was friends with all these people.
Yes.
And now I'm burning down their system, and I'm also, he came in at the same time burning down the Republican neocon establishment, right? He came in, America first, make America great again. So he has no one can
tariffs.
Fill his shoes.
Like, what do you mean? What happened to free trade? That was a Republican pillar. He was like, no, China. Remember, like race number one, it's all he said. China.
I know. Yeah. Like there's so many things that we love about Donald Trump, but no one will fill his shoes. So what happens to MAGA there? Well, here's something really interesting. The MAGA economy. I love to talk about this. So I came up as a Trump rally person. Before I ran, I was like, I go to Trump rallies. I love them. These are great. So there's a whole MAGA economy there. There's people that ran food trucks and sold hot dogs, T-shirts, Trump hats, any kind of Trump memorabilia you could think of. There's this whole entire economy, whether it happens at Trump rallies, happens online, happens in local races. You can see them along the, street corners at gas stations. Somebody sets up a tent and they're selling Trump gear and MAGA hats and all this stuff. It's a Trump economy. Well, guess what? That is not going to exist under whoever this next, banner bearer is that cannot fill these shoes. So that's an entire thing that I don't know what happens to it. It's going to fall apart in some way because once it ends, it will fade off, right?
Who is Comey going to do shell art in tribute to on the beach after 47's no longer with us?
Exactly.
It's really going to be tough.
Well, the real question is will he be in prison? But it's yet to remain.
Well, maybe his good friend Taylor Swift will help him navigate that. He seems very inspired by her. We talk a lot about personal freedom on this show. Well, part of that is owning your privacy. And let me tell you, if you have ever Googled your name and found your home address, phone number, or even your income floating around, it's not a coincidence. That data is bought and sold by data brokers without your consent. This is why I want to tell you about Incogni, a service that fights back on your behalf. Incogni contacts those shady sites and gets your personal data removed automatically. No forms, no emails. They handle the back and forth with these brokers, and they just update you through their simple dashboard. It can really be a relief. If you care about your privacy and you want fewer spam calls, junk emails, and less risk of identity theft, consider this step. And right now you can get 60% off an annual plan at incogni.com/Megyn. Use code Megyn at checkout to get that 60% off. incogni.com/Megyn and code Megyn when you check out. Take back control of your data with Incogni. The American dream has changed. Forget the white picket fence. For most Americans, the dream is getting out of debt. If you feel the pressure from rising prices, mounting credit card debt, and just trying to stay afloat, I want you to know there could be a way out with Done With Debt. They've got one goal: to break you free from debt permanently. They're not pushing loans or bankruptcy. Their tough negotiators go straight to your creditors, slashing what you owe, wiping out interest, eliminating penalties. You've worked too hard to let debt steal your future. With Done With Debt, your dream of being debt-free could be possible. Go to donewithdebt.com. Speak with one of their experts. It's completely free. Some of their solutions are time-sensitive, though, so don't wait. Go to donewithdebt.com. Donewithdebt.com. Go to donewithdebt.com. Can I ask you about some other things in the news around you?
Yep.
I'm dying to ask you about Jasmine Crockett.
Oh boy,
she seems like a nightmare.
She's delightful.
What's that like to work against her?
So she serves on oversight committee with me, and she's on my Doge subcommittee.
Great.
Yeah. I'll tell you, one of the funny things was we were having a committee hearing on oversight, and it was really late at night. And I was really irritated because I'm always like, why can't we work normal work hours like regular people, 8 to 5? I don't know what's wrong with Congress that we're always doing crazy things at 9, 10, 11, 2 a.m. under Nancy Pelosi. So we're on the oversight committee, and she is running off her mouth, and I shot at her about her massively huge fake eyelashes.
Yeah, this made news.
Yeah, and I was like, well, I said something along the lines of like, well, you can't read it because of your fake eyelashes, because she had all the information in front of her, and she's like, we don't even know what's going on, and da-da-da-da. And, oh my gosh, total explosion. But she
insulted you too. She said something about a butch body.
Yeah.
She's nasty too.
Which I thought was absolutely hilarious. I mean, I'm like over 50. I work out. I'm like,
I thought it was below the belt. I think you could say eyelashes, and you're still, yes, it's a personal comment, but it's not as low as what she said.
Right. And
she loves to go low.
Yeah, and somehow Democrats, they're supposed to love all women and never body shame and stuff.
How do you even there's no reaching across the aisle to that.
No, not at all. Well, she's not a real person. So some interesting things that I've always observed about her is how she treats her staff. She treats her staff like they are just beneath her.
I read that in the New York Post. Can you confirm?
Yes.
Wow.
So she always has, one of her young male staffers has to carry her big, heavy handbag for her.
Right.
She just hands it off. It's like, who does that?
Right. Who are you, Beyonce?
Right. And then I remember one time on oversight, she called one of her staff over and she whispered something in their ear and they ran off. And then they came back with this big, white, fluffy pillow that they put behind her back. And I'm going...
And some bonbons?
Yeah. Like, what is this?
As they fed her grapes and fanned her?
Yeah. So she claims to be, you know, from her people. She puts on this image that she understands the Black American struggle. But let's face it, the girl went to private school. She went on to, you know, I don't know what college and law school. She went to, it's like, she's a complete fake.
Yeah.
She's as fake as her eyelashes. She's as fake as her hair. She's as fake as her fingernails. And she is such a massive fraud.
Dare I ask about Laura Loomer?
Sure.
You and she don't seem to get along at all.
No, we don't get along.
So I don't know Laura Loomer at all, but I see she's very aligned with, she's pro-Israel, and she's pro-Trump, and she's very effective at like digging and finding dirt on people, especially those who cross Trump. So I'm sure he likes her, you know, for among other reasons, that reason. How did you and she get sideways? Was it the Israel thing?
No. I've actually known Laura for years. We actually used to be friends. Back in like 2017 and 2018, we were friends, not close friends, but we knew each other. When she ran for Congress the first time, I endorsed her, donated to her, supported her. When she ran the second time, she decided to run. She jumped a district, wanted to run against Daniel Webster, who's actually a conservative Republican. And I said, hey, Laura, I don't think you should run against Daniel Webster. I don't think you can beat him. Why don't you jump to another district where there's an open seat and you'll have a much better shot? Well, she refused. She said no. She would not listen to anybody and ran there. And I was like,
what state is this?
Florida.
Florida, okay.
So I said, you know, I can't get involved. I'm not going to endorse against him. I'm going to stay out. Well, she was furious at me. And then everything kind of plummeted from there. So it actually started back then. But she's, not only does she attack me all the time, she attacked Matt Gaetz all the time. She attacked Brian Jack, who used to work for President Trump. She attacks some of the most loyal people to the president, people that are unapologetically America first, that fight, those of us that fight the hardest. For some reason, she attacks us the most.
Who's the best ally to you in the GOP?
That's tough. It depends on the issue. So a lot of
Is there another one that comes to mind as not bought and paid for, or like not?
Depends on the issue. I would say the president's really mad at Thomas Massie right now, but Thomas Massie is not bought and paid for. And a lot of our voting records are very similar. So I can.
A lot of people tell me that they love him.
Thomas Massie's great. And I'll say this. I love President Trump. And I support him, and I'll fight for him. But at the same time, I absolutely love Thomas Massie.
Yeah.
And
President Trump is not a Massie fan anymore.
No, he can't stand him. And everyone...
He didn't get behind the big, beautiful bill.
Yeah, but think about this. Do you want a United States Congress without Thomas Massie? Everyone needs to think about that. Number one, he was the only member of Congress that voted against the CARES Act, which was the 15 days... when 15 days to slow the spread started, which I was overwhelmingly against. I wanted the country to stay open. Thomas Massie was the only one that voted no on that bill and called for a recorded vote and made everybody come in and vote and go on record for it. He did that. And then there's many other things that he's voted against. So in America, do we really want a United States House of Representatives without Thomas Massie? I don't.
We might get one, right? Because Trump is pushing a primary challenge to him now.
Well, yeah, and it's his consultants that are dumping millions of dollars on Thomas Massie. But guess what? There's been nobody come out to say they'll actually run against him from his district. And it's not working.
Oh, that's interesting.
And the same consultants and donors that are trying to totally murder Thomas Massie are the same consultants and donors that are propping up and trying to get Lindsey Graham reelected. And nobody understands that at all. Lindsey Graham's probably one of the most...
You and Loomer are united on Lindsey Graham. That's another area in which you guys could settle the dispute.
What I'm more concerned about, Meg, is that I'm concerned about the future for our children. And that's my main message, is whether you like me or hate me, agree with me or disagree with me, no matter what AIPAC says about me, no matter what Mark Levin says about me, no matter what somebody on MSNBC or now MS Now,
oh God,
says about me, and no matter what some lunatic like Laura Loomer says about me, I'm serving in Congress with a singular focus, and that is the future of our kids' generations. Because right now, I don't see a future.
I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
I do, honestly. You're always welcome here. I like to have people with whom I have disagreements or who I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think it's crazy to make the stakes, especially within the Republican Party, uniformity on every issue. And Israel's a very dicey issue. I mean, like, it's been 2 years of war with a lot of controversial things that have happened, even if you give Israel the benefit of the doubt on most of it. So they and their supporters need to understand they're going to take criticisms, and there are going to be people who see what they're doing as wrong. And until they get better propaganda artists working for them, because honestly, as I say, even I look at this and I'm like, what picture should I believe? What video should I believe? I believe I cannot trust anything coming out of Hamas, but where's the Israel side where they're showing me everything that really is happening that I don't know? Anyway, I appreciate what you do.
Yeah. Thank you, Megyn.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks to all of you for joining us today. We're back tomorrow. See you then.